Hello.
That was the quickest 30 seconds ever.
I know that was a very long 30 seconds. I agree with you. It definitely was.
It's because I don't know how to be quiet for more than, about 5.
It said I was muted. It's not fun talking muted.
I'm not sure any of us have ever been quiet for that long. Okay, welcome everybody to the second official episode. Is it an episode? Are we calling it an episode? The second official opening. The second official opening and gathering at the neighborhood coffee shop. We will do some quick intros and then we'll explain what we're doing here if you are new to the coffee shop. So I'll start. I'm Megan Shapiro. I am a full-time construction attorney practicing in California, and I am passionate about teaching construction leaders how to increase profits through proactive and strategic risk management. Josh, you're up.
Yeah, I'm Josh Luebker. I lean on my construction management background for the last 9 years, and I also fractional CFO for a civil contractor in South Carolina, but just kind of training the other people in the workforce at this point.
Okay. Oh, and look, I didn't change this one from Guru. My bad.
Megan bombarded me a couple weeks ago saying that gurus, in one of her posts, she said gurus are self-proclaimed people that are overly confident or something. And so I needed to change it. So that's why I don't have guru on my thing anymore.
First of all, that is wildly inaccurate. I did not make a post about that at all. That was in our private group text. And that was
worse.
Supposed to be helpful criticism and not even criticism, helpful feedback. Freudian slip.
Okay, that's fair. And then you didn't even change it.
I know I didn't change it because I forgot to change it last time. But I was just passing along information that I had heard from other LinkedIn gurus. So that's not even my personal opinion.
That's fair. I did change it for you.
I will change it for next time, I promise. But instead, let's go to Goose. Goose.
And I am Goose Dunham. I'm an ex-paper maker who turned himself into a financial advisor, working with manufacturing construction employees, trying to make finance easy and get them to where they want to be.
Okay. And if you're new here, we never call him John. Nobody calls him John. Not even his wife calls him John. So don't expect to hear us call him John. He's Goose. We call him Goose. He'll always be Goose forever and always. Forever and always. If you want to hear the origin story of how he got his nickname, I will cite you to 2 sources. One, we talked about this on our very first live stream, the 3 of us, my first episode of Risk to Revenue, which you can find the replay on LinkedIn and on my YouTube channel. And he also recounted the origin story on the podcast called Paradigm Shift with Josh Hobby. So you can catch it there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Briefly, what are we doing here? I don't know. None of us really know. We just like to talk to each other about a lot of fun, interesting things, and we like to let you guys join in on the fun. So you can join us in the coffee shop live. Up to 10 people can be on stage at one time. The link to do that is pinned to the comments on this live stream on LinkedIn right now. If you can't find it, shoot me a comment. I am monitoring the comments over here to the extent that they're actually coming through. Caveat on the comments is that StreamYard and LinkedIn don't always get along, much like me, Josh, and Goose. And so sometimes
we went there pretty quick.
I know, right?
I thought we were going to wait till later to talk about the Fight Club.
Maybe we'll talk about Fight Club next, but let me get through the announcements. So, leave your comments. If I don't throw them up on screen or acknowledge you, it's because it's not coming through. It's not because we don't love you and appreciate you joining us. For example, hi, Isaac. Thank you for being here. And Jordan is here. Thank you for joining us, Jordan. And here is my first example of StreamYard and LinkedIn fighting. Hey, LinkedIn user, we don't know who you are. We'd love for you to identify yourself if you want to send us another
that's Noel.
Is it Noel?
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at my phone.
Okay.
That's why I keep looking down, because I'm like, I'm curious. I've never actually looked at the comments while we do it. I
tried that once. I can't even have my LinkedIn open because it kept kicking me out when I did this with Rocio. So I can only see what's coming through here. I know Lynn Randall has this problem too. She apparently oftentimes shows up as LinkedIn user too. So I guess this one is Noel. Hi, Noel. Thanks for joining us. I know you were Noel was like a little bit of a special guest because she had to do some schedule rearranging to be able to join us at this somewhat inconvenient time for some people. So Noelle, if you want to join us on stage, the link is pinned to the comments. Okay, so I think that's all of the background info. Okay, now our big announcement before we talk about Fight Club.
Fight Club.
We were super excited. As soon as we decided that we were going to make this neighborhood coffee shop a thing, we immediately went on the hunt for specific, use the word custom in air quotes because I'm not sure Josh's technically counts as custom, but it's certainly tailored to him specifically, coffee mugs. So now we're going to show off our coffee mugs.
You want to go first?
Sure. So mine's, oh, God damn it.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Shut up. It says hashtag not legal advice. And then on the other side is my construction leadership blueprints logo.
Nice.
Goose, tag, you're it.
All right. So here I've got actually my wife's logo on it. Climbing Trees Consulting. Mostly because I love the climbing tree that she has decided to use. And then hashtag not financial advice.
Yes.
At least not here.
Yes. All right, Josh.
So mine, I didn't buy it. My wife's friends who know me pretty well sent her this, and everybody's probably seen it if you've been on Facebook. But I love some spreadsheets.
Oh.
There it is.
So you get the
no, you got to put it like in front of your body. Put it in front of your body. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. Freak in the sheets.
I got the freak in the sheets Excel spreadsheet mug,
yes.
And it's awesome.
Shout out to Sarah for buying
I make
the
at
best
least
mug ever.
I make at least 3 spreadsheets a week for random things, whether it's just random math I want to add up, whether it's a list. Like I don't use Word, I don't use Notepad, I use Excel for everything.
That doesn't surprise me at
so
all.
that's why I get this one.
And that's the reason he is Bob.
Okay, so Josh, since you're actually looking at your phone and looking at the comments, do you? I know I'm like the leader of this like StreamYard. Do you have that link at the bottom of the screen to invite people so that you can share?
I can repost it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So repost the link because I think that might be Noelle because it still just says LinkedIn user. She doesn't see the link. Andrew's here. Sup, Andrew? How's Canada today? Happy to see you again as always. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Look, you got a fan. Isaac loves freaking the sheets. Oh, and Noelle loves Excel. So look, this is gonna be like an Excel. This is just gonna be like an Excel fan club. Gonna need you to put out an Excel class. Ooh, look at that, Josh.
I could. I should.
Josh was able to put the link in the comments. What? Oh, because you put it on. Okay, I got it. I'm a little slow, but I got there.
Isn't that what you wanted me to do? Or what did you want me to do?
I think so because you posted that so they can click the link if they go on the comments, right? That's what I wanted you to do.
I'm not sure if you can in the live stream or not, but I know that if they go back to where you can actually like click to go on to the live, it's in the first 4 comments. But when you go into the live stream, it doesn't show those 4 comments for some reason.
Oh, it must have worked because...
Uh-oh, here we go.
Hello,
hey.
Noelle. It worked. Yay!
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the neighborhood coffee shop. Noelle, do you have a coffee mug with you right now that you want to show off?
Yeah. Team Blue.
Love it. Maybe we should play like an icebreaker of like what's in your coffee mug.
Yeah, it's after 5, right?
It's after 5 for most of you. I think I might be the only one of the 4 of us that it's not after 5 for.
That's probably true. But I mean, if it is 3 somewhere, then it's also 5 somewhere. So
it's 3 for me. It's 3:09 for me. Hi, Graham. Thanks for joining us. Another fan of the Excel mug, Bryant. I love it. Love it. Okay, so Noelle, I think if I remember correctly, you were really excited to jump in on the Strengths Finder part of the conversation. Is that right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's like my favorite book ever.
Now, okay, so let me set the stage a little bit. Because the Strengths Finder conversation became surprisingly controversial to me. So for those surprising to me, maybe it wasn't surprising to others, but so for those of you who are avid Strengths Finder fans, certified Strengths Finder, I don't know if coaches is the right word, but the certified Strengths Finder administrator people, like Stephanie Couch is one of them. For those of you, I apologize for offending you deeply by having taken Strengths Finder more than once. I didn't know that was like a huge no-no. My sincerest apologies. It was motivated solely by the idea of like, oh man, I haven't taken it in like a really long time, and I've had some major career shifts since then. I'm curious if it changed because I hadn't read the book yet. I've read it now. I've read it now. I know better. I solemnly swear that I may not ever take it again. Maybe. How about that?
Do you want to know the secret?
Yes.
I did the same thing.
You did?
Yeah.
You took it more than once? Yes. I love it.
I specifically bought it like 3 days ago to redo it. And I have found that some of mine stayed exactly the same, but some of mine changed. And I don't think it's because they changed. I think it's because I've found more out about myself in the last 4 or 5 years.
So I'm the only one that's actually done what you're supposed to do and only take it once.
So far.
Because look, Brian looks like, I'm assuming his comment means he's done it more than once too, which means that like those people should leave. Like if you're one of those people that thinks that is like militant about only taking Strengths Finder once, you should probably just leave now because I don't think this is going to go well for you. I think your head is going to explode. It's not going to be okay. We are unapologetic, like repeat offenders of the Strengths Finder assessment.
You think like if they want to make more money, they're not going to tell you to take it once. They're going to say, "Hey, yeah, take it every year."
Well, and that
but they don't.
Point, right? He was like, they wouldn't make it so hard to take your money if you were allowed or supposed to, or if it was acceptable to take it more than once. And I'm like, well, some of us have more than one email address, sir.
Yeah, right. That's how I had to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, wait, before we talk more about it, I want to know who this is. West Coast in the shop. Is there something else in Josh? I want to know what's in their cups
nope.
too, but is this Lynn? Because this obviously isn't you, Noelle, because you're now in with us. I wonder
if I said it was tea, would you believe me?
No. No.
Well, we're going to leave it at that. It's tea. It's tea. It's got a little brown tint to it. And
well, warms the body
tea,
too.
Huh?
Warms the body.
See who said that.
Warms the body. It's hot.
Coaster, tell us who you are because you're my only other fellow 3 p.m. person.
Why is it not showing me now?
Oh,
mine is vanilla chai tea.
Oh, mine is the most boring without even knowing what's in Noelle's. I can say with 100% certainty mine's the most boring. It's water.
No, mine's water too.
Oh, me and girl, we're like the same. I love it.
Virtual high five.
Yes, always with the virtual high fives. Okay, Jordan is all about our controversial posts for this week.
We're going to get to those.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah,
Jordan, are going to get to those.
Sit tight, Jordan. We are for sure going to talk to those. Oh, it's Josh Javi is our fellow West Coaster. Thank you, Graham, for letting us know. Hey, Josh, what's up?
It's really weird. It's not.
I'm glad to know that's who it is. Thank you, Graham, for being the conduit. And Josh, we're super happy that you're here. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I gave a shout out to Goose's episode of Paradigm Shift. So. Okay, so before we get to the other hot topics, first of all, Heath wants us to know that tea mixes well with peach crown, which sounds delicious.
You're gonna try that out, Heath.
It's good with vanilla crown if it's vanilla tea. I know that.
Okay. And Andrew wants us to know that it's 4:11 in some part of Canada, but Canada is a different country, and I don't understand the geography of Canada or the time zones. So
that's just one location, right? They have one time zone because it's so small.
Yeah, I mean it's little, I think, right? It's one of the littler countries, smaller, like one of the little ones. Okay, so Noelle, since you are our guest, why don't you jump into the Strengths Finder topic? Share with us why you wanted to come live with us to talk about this one. What is it about Strengths Finder that you love so much?
I love it because it was one of the ways that I figured out what I wanted to do next in my career. Because I thought, now, if I'm going to make a career change, I want to know what I'm best at so I can try to tailor what I'm doing towards that so I can use my strengths. So back when I was working at Wells Fargo Insurance Services, I was an account exec doing mostly middle market, some larger accounts. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to work on bigger accounts. What I really wanted to do was contract review, but there was no such job out there for it. So I took the Strengths Finder test, and the word that kept coming up in my mind was consultant. Like, I want to be the one that goes around and gets the answers and then shares it with my clients to help them.
Okay. So that was when you took it the first time, right? Yeah. Okay. And so what was your number one strength that, we lost Josh.
The weird thing was it said input was my number one strength, which was like, what? But I don't really sit around and collect things. But then I thought, oh, I collect information.
Yeah.
And that's where that came in. But
okay.
That surprised me. It came in as my number one strength. And I was like, wow.
Okay. So then when you took it the second time, did your number one change?
It did. And then it was learner. But I wasn't surprised by that because I love to learn new things.
Was learner something that was on your list before?
Yes.
Like 2 through 5. Okay. So it just moved up.
Yeah.
Did anything drop off of your list? Or they just changed positions?
I got the longer list of my strengths. So then I was counting my top 10.
Okay.
And a lot of the ones that were in my first top 5 were in the top 10. So
okay. I was not willing to pay for the rest of it.
So I will say on that note, Stephanie Couch, who is a certified strengths finder, whatever the title is. Sorry, Stephanie, I don't know. But Stephanie Couch is one of the certified people. And she says that the top 10 are like fingers in that they are all allegedly interchangeable. And so the ranking doesn't apparently mean anything, is what Stephanie says.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Because when I retook it, a lot of I only had the top 5, and mine all shifted. Even my number one shifted. So.
Oh, so my number one did not change. After all 3 times, my number one did not change. Jesse, I didn't get that result. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not surprised yours did, but I didn't get that result. But
he only gets one result. He doesn't get any top 10. He gets one.
Sexiest, sexy.
He has one finger. He cut all the other ones off because of OSHA. OSHA violations.
I mean, sometimes you got to do that. Look, OSHA gets in the way a lot.
You have a fan. It says hi.
I went to college with Evan.
Oh, I was like, apparently you're the only one Evan wants to talk to, but that's okay.
So Evan, I really want to know, because I feel like Goose's story of his name is fake. No, Evan, I feel like it's a college story with Grey Goose.
Evan, come live and tell us all of Goose's dirty college stories.
We don't need to do that.
I think it's a great
that
idea.
Might be a whole other episode in
How long do we have?
I know, right? I mean, who has a hard stop anyway? I mean, really, it's fine.
I mean, kids, who needs to go take care of kids?
Dinner, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, what other insights about Strengths Finder, or do we want to move on to Jordan's favorite topic?
Well, I think we need to go through what ours are, right? I mean, we all took it.
At least your top one.
Or at least your top one.
Okay.
I'm competition. I have always been a competition. I always will be competition. Josh, it is a strength, even when you don't think it is.
It's like number 14 for me. Like, it's not even close to the top 10.
The first thing Josh says to us when he finds out that we're a competitor, he says, "Is that even a good thing?"
That's a strength, is competition.
Yeah. So, which prompted me to, of course, screenshot every page from the report about the advantages to having because I'm also competition has been my number one for all 3 versions. So like Goose, like I am like just tried and true, all about the competition. So of course I had to take that challenge of Josh's and win by proving that it is in fact a strength.
Yes. And the reason I questioned it is because like I like Simon Sinek, so I watch a lot of his stuff, and it's talking about like the finite game versus the infinite game, right? So competition means you're trying to compete with everybody, and there's a best, and you're not always going to be the best. So my view is I want to be in the top 10, but I don't really care if I'm the best every time. I just want to be in the top 10 consistently, right?
It's about striving to be the best. It's not about. It's not all about having to be the best. It's about striving to be the best, right? I mean,
I don't know.
That's how I take it, and that also drives you to do things that others may not. I.e., I have always been a huge leadership person because I want to be the best leader that was around. So I have read, you name a leadership book, I've probably read it. I mean, and I think it was the competition that drove me there.
That's fair. I bet you guys can't remember what mine is. It's pretty self-explanatory for me.
It was way different than ours. That's what I remember.
It was analytical.
Oh,
Yeah.
And freaking the sheets comes back.
Yep. Numbers, CFO stuff, processes, all of that. It's just me.
Oh my
See,
God, 22.
Brian gets me. Yeah, it's like it's not even important.
22.
There's enough work out there. I don't have to be the best.
Another example, Josh, I gained 80 pounds so that I could start in football.
Gee.
That is commitment right there.
What did you
I was 265 pounds in high school.
Wow.
It sounded like you need to be like the opposite, like a wrestler. Like, I need to lose 10 pounds by tomorrow night at 5 p.m.
So yeah, that was my competition to the extreme.
Fair.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so anything else about StrengthsFinder, or are we moving on?
Ready to go to Fight Club?
Are we going to Fight Club?
I
okay,
love
we'll go to Fight
the
Club.
rebrand.
I know, Fight Club. We're gonna have to get a new logo and everything. Okay, so Noelle, I know that you were
Boxing
excited
gloves.
to talk about StrengthsFinder. You're more than welcome to stay, or if you don't want to be on camera anymore,
Well,
I can remove you from the from stage, but I think you'll have to come back into the live stream. It's up to you.
let's
I'll
ask her
hang out
her
on
top.
stage.
She
let's
told
ask
us
her
her top,
top.
Josh. Weren't you listening? Isn't that one of your top 5 strengths?
No, I'm analytical. I don't listen.
All right, Noelle, give us your top again, even though because some of us.
I'll give you my top 10 because I don't really list them out for top
See,
5.
they're all fingers.
Yeah,
Fingers.
yeah. Okay, so I've got
Definitely.
input, learner, achiever,
Input.
which I think is kind of related to competition,
I agree.
but
Well,
not
then,
quite.
That's number 3 for me.
Ideation, deliberative, intellection, discipline, focus, developer, and responsibility.
Interesting. Do you feel like
And you do a lot with contracts, is that right?
I do. It's all
See, I haven't actually met you or talked to you yet, but I know a lot of stuff about you from what I see, and that sounds exactly like a contract person.
Yeah. That's where detail oriented is a really big strength.
Yep.
And being able to.
Well, we can talk about Fight Club because that's a perfect segue.
That's a perfect segue into Fight Club.
Perfect.
So let's talk about why handshake deals are such a good idea.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble for posting that. You're gonna think this is hilarious, I think. Well, but I got in trouble for posting that handshake deals are dead, and contracts are definitely something you want to do in construction. I got burned at the stake for this. I mean,
can't
like,
imagine why.
it's
Like,
like
it's
150,000 impressions. Like,
But there are
viral
still
kind of thing.
people commenting today, aren't there? Like,
Yeah.
I thought I saw some today, and this was like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah,
now,
it was
right?
like last Friday. It was I even had one yesterday. Yeah, they were like, "Well, you're obviously not in the top echelon of the company if that's how you feel about it."
Oh, yeah,
I
I saw
mean,
that.
maybe if it's like the smallest company and you don't have money or finances at your first project and you're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do it for that price."
Okay,
But-
what country were they from? Because there's a lot more handshake deals than other countries.
There were a lot of people from the U.S. I will say that.
Oh, okay.
There was. I didn't go through everybody, but the people that commented the first day were definitely. See, Jordan, I did try to stir the
Jordan
pot.
is your soulmate, Josh. She's your LinkedIn professional soulmate.
I did go ahead and repost it, but just like make a better argument, and then it's like it gets like 5,000 impressions, and you're like, "Well, this is stupid. Why is something that had like good quality content in it and expressing a very good argument get suppressed, but this one where people want to fight it, it gets viral? Makes no sense." It's so stressful.
Look, Brian is agreeing with the post. He said it was a huge problem for his firm. I'm assuming what he means is handshake deals were a huge problem for his firm, which is alarming to me that there were that many of them that they qualified as a huge problem. So, Brian, you should join us on stage too if you want to talk more about it. But Jordan's got more to say.
I'll be right back.
yeah.
Same.
I'll let you guys all live through me.
I mean, Jordan, you kind of, if you haven't gone back to our Death Post episode, which was last go around, we really committed to the Death Post between last coffee shop and this coffee shop. And we
more than we intended for some of us.
And we have accepted the fact that we were stirring pots. Whether or not we meant to stir the pots that we stirred is a whole different question.
Yeah, some of them you think is such a normal topic. You're like, oh, I'm just going to say something that everybody knows. And then goes way off the deep end.
I mean, I truly don't understand why protecting yourself, creating alignment and expectations, and then setting accountability is important in anything that we do. So, Josh?
yeah, right. It was disappointing. But like I said in the post, and I was pretty brash about it, but it's like I can take on whatever clients I want. And there's clients that'll align with me, and there's clients that'll push away from things I say. And if that's one of the things that pushes people away is that I prefer a contract and they don't, and you think I'm a bad person to do business with because you think I'm going to screw you, that's why I'm asking for one. Like that's bogus. I'd rather not work with somebody that thinks that. I have worked for people that do that, where the owner makes a backdoor deal. And then it's constantly like, hey, your owner said you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And it's like, okay, well, how do I know? I'm just here trying to do what I'm supposed to do. And it's so frustrating. And I'm sure Bryant can attest to that. That's why he's shaking his head.
Yeah, no, we got first. Hi, everybody. We got burned on our firm has been around for a long time, and they've had some long-standing relationships. That we've done multiple jobs for them and done a whole lot of work. And most of our agreements with them were handshake agreements. And so the scope of work was just never clearly defined. And so our PMs and our superintendents were always doing more than making financial decisions on a whim, and resulting in me having to go and explain, changes to the budget or the project financials to the owner all the time. So this one hit home for me. I was surprised that so many people got so angry about it.
Oh yeah, I got burned at the stake.
But I do think, you said it, Brian. In these, construction's been around for so long. And a lot of these companies have been around for a long-standing time, right? And so they have created these relationships. And for whatever reason, they think that now they want a contract means that the relationship is dead.
Right.
But it's not. It's a protection. And it ultimately, since we're all about risk management in this group, it hits the bottom line. It 100% hits the bottom line. If it doesn't hit it today, it's going to hit it tomorrow. You wouldn't deal with anything else like that. You wouldn't. For the most part, if you're dealing with your personal life, you're not going to deal with it like that. You're not going to just keep shelling out cash, right? It's not the way we work. So, but I do think you can see that problem with industries that have been around for a long time. Interestingly enough, in manufacturing, I worked at a mill, and there was some, I won't say intentional, but there was underhanded stuff going on that ended up finally getting shelled out, and it wasn't pretty.
Well, and when stuff like that happens, like stuff starts hitting the fan, your firm has no ground to stand on. And obviously, like, again, we're talking, that's not the reason why you have contracts. It's one of them. But like when that stuff starts hitting the fan and that relationship for some reason goes south, there's nothing that you can do to like protect yourself against whatever, liabilities you've created by not having that contract.
Right.
It causes confusion too, because if you don't allocate ahead of time in a contract, who's responsible for what risks and what responsibilities, your legal costs are going to go way up, and you're going to have people fighting over who's supposed to do what.
Right.
To me, it doesn't make any sense. But
But no,
The hard part for me,
don't charge that much. It's fine.
the hard part for me being in the management part is I'd have superintendents who are like, well, we always do it this way, because they weren't given the contract. They weren't given the scope. And it's like, okay, well, I did electrical. They wanted to put in 7 conduits. You put in 2 conduits. Now there's a building in a parking lot. We cannot put a conduit in for future stuff. They can't put Google in there. They can't put AT&T now. And all because, you just didn't do what we were supposed to do, what they expected, what they're paying us to do. And it's not like we're trying to screw people. It's just without that clarity, that's what happens. And that costs $700,000 just to tear up a parking lot and put pipes in so they could put future stuff in later, because we didn't just do it the first time.
It's a chump change, right?
If you don't specify the
on a $5 million project,
you can also have scope creep. I mean, they could just keep adding and adding to what they're expecting you to do. You might not get reimbursed for it.
Yep. The thing that got for me is they'd put in very vague things. So electrical, you get thrown a lot of telecom stuff. And so people say low voltage. Well, that's data, and that's TVs, and that's fire alarm, and that's telecom, and that's HDMI cables, and that's security cameras. Like, I mean, it starts getting to everything possible that's not high voltage. So you have to be specific. What do you mean by low voltage?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I've seen companies burn by it. I haven't personally been. I've had to take over projects that had been, and that's why I'm so irritated with the conversation.
Dude.
So Craig says that he prices a significant amount of work based on a hand wave as a maintenance service provider. His proposals are written as an execution plan covering what they are including and excluding, and they push for the client to sign the proposal and or have an MSA in place, and having a COI is huge. Josh, how do you feel about
that? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not a handshake agreement, right? So like a handshake agreement is you go to a homeowner's house and they're like, hey, I want this deck. And you're like, okay, it'll be $5,000. And then you go out there and you build this deck and they're like, well, that's not the dimensions I wanted. That's not as tall as I wanted. That's not where I wanted it. That's not the material I wanted you to do. That's not, I wanted concrete bases, not direct bury. There's so many things to get into it. When you give a proposal, it at least gives something as like a groundwork. But it still gets into trouble too, where like, if somebody gets killed or somebody gets seriously hurt, who's liable for that? Are they going to sue just the company? No, they're going to go after the utility company. They're going to go after the owner. They're going to go after the GC, the subcontractors. They're going to go after anybody because, their family member's dead. Like, it's not like the company has any malicious intent, but you have to protect different people. And I've been an owner on construction projects myself. I want that protection myself. And if you don't push for that as an owner, you are incredibly at risk. You might lose everything you possibly own. In some states, people can go after you personally for things that happen on a job site. So that's a risk that I think is really stupid to take. I will, like I said, I will not work for somebody that does that, because I want to have a job tomorrow. I want to be guaranteed jobs, not based on somebody's character, if you will.
There was one thing that. Oh, sorry, Goose. Let me just add to that one quickly, because there was one thing that occurred to me as a part of this overall conversation that I didn't see, and admittedly, like, the comments got out of hand, so I probably haven't read all of them, but I didn't see anybody talking about, and maybe it's because the bulk of the people who felt comfortable commenting were talking about commercial construction. But in California, at least, for residential construction, like, you can't enter into a quote unquote handshake deal for residential construction, #not legal advice, because it's for consumer protection reasons, right? The California State License Board has very, very strict, stringent, and specific contractual requirements, language that must be in the contract for residential construction. And that includes new construction and renovations. I mean, anything, if you're touching somebody's home, there has to be a written contract again, I'm an attorney, asterisk, usually, I don't know. I'm sure there are probably some exceptions somewhere that I haven't heard about. Let me just leave room for that. Don't come at me. I'm sure there's probably some exception. But by and large, like, you can't do that. Again, still hashtag not legal advice still. But I thought that was interesting that nobody really talked about that on your post in the comments. Everybody, I think, was just operating on the assumption that we must be talking about commercial projects. But I think even in states where there isn't necessarily a legal requirement for a contract to protect a homeowner, it's good practice, right?
Right.
Right.
It just opens you up into a world of hurt. And it's not just a financial thing. I mean, I've seen people go to jail because they have not.
So I was about to bring, I wasn't going to go there, but the emotional piece. Do you really want to be the person who is the cause of 50 people losing their jobs because you went bankrupt because you wanted to have the handshake deal with your family's business that's been around 100 years? So let's really talk about implications that are way further than money. You've destroyed your family's legacy, and you cause 50 people to lose their jobs, or 100 people lose their jobs, or 200 people lose their jobs. Nobody wants that to be on their shoulders. And you're going to bypass a contract and risk that, because that's what you're risking.
And the contract takes the longest one I've seen it go back and forth, maybe took 3 weeks to a month. If you really if you're putting effort into it, it's not, I've seen them drag out for 6 months, but it's because people sat on them for 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time. But when you actually put in the work, they take no time at all.
Yeah. And I think there's one other disclaimer on this before we maybe move on. I don't know if everybody's ready to move on. But I think maybe some people misunderstood, Josh, when the way you said that. You weren't possibly saying you can't have a handshake as part of a deal, right? You were simply
no. Ever since COVID, handshakes have been outlawed in the U.S. I'm pretty sure it was either Trump or Biden, one of the two, put it in law with an executive order that you can no longer shake hands.
Right.
It's the elbow bump, right? It's the
elbow bump. And you have to wear a mask while you're doing it.
I hope that at least one person interpreted it that literally.
They did. No, some
I think they did.
I
think they did. In which case, the vitriol made sense.
Yeah, because they would say
that would have been an international thing.
And then they would describe the contract that they then entered into after the fact. So they're like, I do handshake deals all the time, and then follow it up with a blah blah blah, and it's like, oh, you mean you followed up with a written contract? Weird. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's
great. You're on our side.
You've heard Megan and Noel and Bryant. How many times have you guys had somebody do T&M and you turn in the bill and they're like, "Oh, well, this is way too much. We didn't agree to this." That's every T&M ever. And then people are gonna say, "Well, I did $1 million on T&M." Well, that's freaking great because you probably got 500,000 of it.
I don't ever see the bills, so.
Okay,
yeah, I'll tell you from a construction management side. Generally, people try to go after half is what they'll actually get. And if I want to go hire somebody like Megan, well, there goes another $300,000 to try to get it. What was the point in that? I should have just done it the right way.
On that note, if you have a written contract, you probably have an attorney's fees provision that allows the prevailing party to recover their attorney fees, so you get that money back. But you don't get that in a handshake deal, at least not in California. # not legal advice.
I don't think that's legal advice. I think that's a fact, a law.
Yeah, I think that,
It's just a fact. Oh, Chris wants to weigh in, and then I want to talk about.
Sorry, Craig. I didn't mean to burn Craig at the stake either. I definitely agree. The MSA, that's all perfect. That's what you want to do, and you can shake their hand.
I don't think we were burning Craig. Were we burning Craig? Craig,
no. You just started with that, and then I went off because I go off on tangents.
Never do that.
Okay, so Chris says having a contract itself hasn't been the issue for us, but pushing back more on certain contract aspects is what we're dealing with, and the effect of that on the relationship. Example, how much active unapproved change order work we usually used to do, only be given a 60% haircut at the end. How do you approach that framing? Chris, I have just the tool for you. I have some negotiation tips for this. So shoot me a DM after this, man, and I'll hook you up. But I'll let everybody else weigh in because I already wrote out my answer.
I'll let everybody else kind of weigh in because I've been talking a lot.
Noel, I'm calling on you.
I'll pass.
Okay.
All right.
If you haven't done the project management side, it's a little tougher to negotiate that and understand.
I don't do the project management.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fair. Let me think on the fly. What would we do? I would push for, the way I was always taught is I can lean on, I'm not going to do this work until it's approved. You can put it in writing in an email and list the dollar amount, reference the time and material, like as a cap to it or whatever you want to do. But until you say something in writing and you're willing to put your neck out there for that, I'm not going to do it. And then you just let time be on your side. Like, hey, you have to turn this project over and my quote's good for 7 days. So if I have to reprice this for overtime now, like, because you want to sit on something, I've given you the information early to make a decision and you sat on it. That I'm sorry, that sucks, but why should I have to brunt that? So
I'm going to take a little bit of a different, maybe contrarian approach to Josh's answer. And by the way, this is another sneak peek into our group text, because Josh and I sometimes disagree on sometimes. Josh and I often disagree on this stuff because to be fair, I mean, the disclaimer here is that Josh is always coming at it, of course, from the perspective of like the guy on the ground, right? Like he's the one that's got to get the work done, got to get the project done. I'm always coming at it with my attorney hat on of like, okay, but what's the risk here? What's the likely outcome? What's the problem? So sometimes those two things don't mesh. And I deal with that with my clients often too, right? Like I give them the advice and I say like, but you got to make a business decision. And I get that. So with that disclaimer, I would say, I hear you, Josh, but Chris, I would tell you, be very aware. I'm assuming in this one, you actually do have a written contract. I'm assuming that because you said having a contract itself hasn't been the issue, which means I'm assuming in this scenario, you have a written contract. Your written contract probably has very specific terms regarding change orders, like the approval process, and terms that require you, #not legal advice, that require you to continue to perform the work even if you don't have a signed change order. I'm guessing because I've seen a lot of contracts. Correct. It's usually in there, right, Josh? It's usually here's where I'm not done. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I
promise I'll give you the talking.
You gotta let the non-construction person weigh in, right?
Yes, but I'm not done, guys. Let me finish. Jeez, man. Okay. So Chris, we need to be super familiar with what the terms are in your contract, but not just the terms around the change orders and notices to proceed and all of those things. You also need to know whether or not you've got a termination for convenience clause in your contract, because if you're taking a 60% haircut on change orders, that could be significant depending on the amount of the change order. I don't know your business well enough. I know it's landscaping, but that's about all I know about it. That number could be big enough that you actually want to consider strategically, #not legal advice, potentially exercising your right to terminate for convenience, because arguably you might have cause, again, depending on the language in the contract, not legal advice, but you might want to be really using those contract terms strategically to your advantage, which is just one more reason why, in my opinion, having a written contract that's clarity is more important than anything else. I don't even necessarily care what the terms are that are in there, how quote unquote bad or adverse they are for you, as long as they're clear. Because if I've got clear terms, I can strategize around that. Yeah. We can figure out a way to make it work for you as long as I've got clear terms. Okay, Josh, you can have the talking stick back. Then we got to let Goose have it.
I gotta be a contrarian to that. Two things. Dang it. My head. Go ahead, Goose. I'll figure it out again.
I mean, I think so. I'm coming at it from a manufacturing side when we had major outages, which had a lot of construction people there. And it really was for us, it was understanding what our process was and making sure that process to get it approved was as orderly and quick as possible. Right. A lot of times the breakdown is not everybody in that process actually understands the process that it takes. All right. And who had that approval process? Obviously don't know how that works in more purely construction type. But we were always the hiring person. And so we always put that into place, made sure everybody that was dealing with change orders was very familiar with it, had a sheet. Ours was just a sheet, so it was always written with a signature from whoever was on site that could approve it.
Time and material tickets.
Yeah,
basically.
So I switched over to Evan because I think it's a little bit related. He's talking about how subcontractors often can't negotiate a contract. Evan, yes, experience from the subcontractor side. Yes, most of my clients are subcontractors, and I deal with this all the time. I hear you. You're not wrong. You are that's totally normal. Subcontractors often do not have the power to negotiate contract terms. That doesn't mean you don't have power, and that doesn't mean that you can't make strategic decisions as long as you have clarity around the contract terms. Even if you don't have the ability to negotiate the terms themselves, to maybe make them quote unquote objectively more clear, as long as you understand what they are and what they say, and you can map out the contract and the path that the contract requires you to take and the path the contract allows you to take, and that is two different things, then you can create the strategy that will work best for you to put yourself in a position where you are not jeopardizing your company because of a contract term that's being weaponized against you. Okay. So there are a lot of things that you could do. Feel free to shoot me a DM if you want to talk more about this. I have said before, subcontractors have my heart. I love GCs, I love owners, but subcontractors have my heart. So I'm happy to talk offline about this with you too, if you're interested in that.
I would also say, don't assume you can't negotiate it. If you could give a good reason for a change that's logical, I mean, you stand a better chance of getting something changed.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to ask, right? Two things though, Megan, for your termination of convenience, like Chris was saying, he wants to maintain the relationship. I guarantee you, as soon as you use that, it's going to be like, well, we're going to start pricing now because this relationship is termination for convenience is a way that you never want to do work with somebody again.
I agree with that, but he's saying he wants to preserve did I miss that? Did he say he wanted to preserve the relationship?
I mean, obviously they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to, give them work through that stuff, right?
Yeah, but at some point, that's a give and take, right? Because if you're in Chris's case, he's a sub. If the GC is pounding you and giving you 60% haircuts on all your change orders consistently,
are they somebody you want to work with, right?
Yeah, then what? Who cares about the relationship at that point?
I agree.
They're not prioritizing it. They're not treating you like a trade partner.
I agree. I'll make the same argument. But the second thing is there's a lot of gray area, right? So you were saying that you have to follow through with contracts and when they issue different drawings and different things. Okay, so something that I've never seen very clearly put in a contract is what is classified with this is a directive. This is something that you're going to start to do immediately. And if you follow through with the contract and it says, hey, you have 7 days to price this and you price it within 7 days. And then they say, well, we don't like your price, but do it because you're supposed to. That's where I push back because it's no, I've contractually done everything I said I was going to do. I said all this. You can't force me to do it at a different price. So that's where I hold my ground of I've priced it. I met the requirements. You're now trying to do a handshake deal and get me to do it knowing that you're going to intentionally try to screw me later. That's why handshake deals are the complete opposite of what people want to think they are.
I agree with that. Okay, you and I can go back and forth. I just want to, for the record, I did not say you always have to comply with contract terms. It's not true. I don't think that it's not true. Not
fair,
okay,
fair.
We're gonna run out of time because I don't think people are gonna want to stick with us late, and I think you guys have childcare.
Yeah, especially on contract stuff. It's boring.
It is boring for most people. Obviously not for us, Josh, but it is boring, and Noel too. For that. Okay, I want to talk about Goose's death post.
Yeah, let's get everybody in trouble with this one.
Yeah, let's talk about daring to point out the fact that women still have a pay disparity in this country. Let's talk about that.
Well, that's not really what my post said, but that is where somebody took it.
Yeah, because it's still a verifiable fact, but go on.
All right, so I had a post recently that said women are better leaders and so are introverts. And I will say for the most part, I got pretty positive response. There is actually research that backs that claim. That does not mean men are bad leaders. That doesn't mean that they can't become great leaders. I am both male and extroverted for anybody that doesn't know me. So I don't fit this criteria of what makes a good leader, according to my post. And yet it turned into a like 30 comment stream from this one individual. Y'all feel free. I would love for y'all to go join in on this argument if you want to.
Hashtag government worker.
I posted on Saturday, and every article I posted, he told me that wasn't a valid argument. Then I used my own personal experience, and he said since there was no lawsuit associated with it, then it couldn't be real and true. If I didn't sue, there was no truth.
That was my favorite part of the argument.
I really agreed with that too. And I mean, this guy really went to town. So then Megan and Josh joined in, and he went to town on them. So I'll let y'all. Let y'all join in on that.
This is why we're going to rebrand from the coffee shop to Fight Club.
I mean, I'm at the point where I'm about to thank him for boosting my post so much because of how many times he commented. Like, dude, he actually told me and Josh that, and I would really need to go see it. He said, y'all are promoting this to hurt women and for your own. I'm like, how is this hurting women?
He said something about to push your own policies. And I'm like, I don't.
Push your own policy? What? What does that even mean?
I'm not even talking about policy.
Well, because he was trying to argue that you guys were using that to try to sell something. I'm not clear.
See, I thought that, but then I thought, it's political probably.
And I don't get it. I'm confused.
It
probably came down to
I was trying to sell my wife's services, not my own. But the whole post was about my wife. I mean, did you read it or did you just read the first line? Come on, buddy.
Right.
It would have gotten ugly had we been in person. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I don't know if you circled back to it today, but today he responded to me, my comment on there, and now he's decided that his comments are a little hard to follow. So I don't know if he was accusing you or me or all of us, but of saying that men are holding women back. And I was like, I definitely never said that. I didn't see anywhere that you said that.
I did not say that. I at one point early in the conversation when he had mentioned that his first comment was, I just want the best leader. If you went to a doctor, wouldn't you want the best doctor? And I said, absolutely. I am all about having the best leader. I always want to hire the best leader. I said, but in some instances, unconscious bias causes you to hire and promote people that look like you and act like you. That is a real thing. Unconscious bias is real. And then the next comment, so that would be the only thing that I could say that I said that would be like, you're holding us back, is unconscious bias. And then he said, well, if you recognize unconscious bias, then it's just conscious bias. And so I came back and said, yes, I've taken steps to make sure that my unconscious bias doesn't impact who I hire. Have you? And I really think that set him off.
So you went Fight Club on him.
I did go Fight Club on him because it pissed me off.
I want to make a new hashtag.
Competition in him, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Bring it in full circle, right? I like it. Bring it in full circle.
So
you got to make a new hashtag. LIFC. LinkedIn Fight Club.
That was my death post that turned deathlier than I expected for one individual at least.
So to recap our death posts, our week of unexpected death posts. Who knew that taking StrengthsFinder more than once would cause a reaction in many people? The nerve. And it wasn't okay. Who knew that saying, hey, might not be a bad idea to have a written contract for your construction work? Who knew that would be so inflammatory? And finally, acknowledging that women can be successful leaders. Also apparently a spicy take. So I don't know what happened to LinkedIn this week. I don't know if it was the eclipse. I don't know what happened. But LinkedIn went from like here to here in like a week. And I'm just like scratching my head. Like, how did we get here, guys? I don't know how we got here.
Hey,
Yeah.
but I did gain about 200 followers since.
There you go. But you know my theory on that. My theory on that is this is for all of those of you that are not in our group text. My theory is that post with photos of a woman of her whole body do better.
That was it. So
not salacious, but just like if I post a picture of like my, like what you can see right now, it doesn't do as well as if it's like the picture of me standing on the beach and it's my whole body. Those posts are better. So I told these guys that, and so Goose tested it with pictures of Hannah on his post.
So I want y'all to know there may be some leading data here. So 5 out of my 6 best posts include her in the picture.
Wow.
I'm saying.
So, and then
So it sounds like women are holding men back on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Is that a hot take? You got to play the game.
You got to play the game. I'm playing the game.
I got to go take more pictures of my wife.
Her in there.
Yeah, well, Josh tried testing it the other way. He was like, okay, I'm going to put fish for the men in the picture.
There you go. Didn't work.
And my baby for the women. But I don't think it's as successful as photos of women.
This is explaining a lot why my Kramer post didn't go anywhere.
See, you got to get a lean in there. A lean's got to be in there with Kramer, whole body shot, and see what it does. I'm saying.
Yep.
Just saying.
Well, it's funny enough. The one that went viral for me that everybody's fighting me on the contract was a picture of me and my wife, and it started getting ugly because people were like, "Oh, let's talk about prenups." I'm like, "Okay, that's a little messed up, but whatever." If you think marriage and business are the same thing, that's up to you, but I don't.
Okay, but it's so funny. I don't know. I don't think Megan's here. Megan Spivey's post today equates construction contracts with prenups. And I was dying when I read it. I love Megan. It's a great post. It's a good analogy.
That was funny.
In her context. And on her post, it's a good analogy. It's a great post. If you haven't seen Megan Spivey's post today, go check it out. It's great. But she literally compares construction contracts to prenups. And I was just like, what is happening? We're literally living.
If the poster says that, it's one thing. If you just bring it up because you think it's okay, then that's different, I think.
Yeah. It was a wild ride this week.
Yeah.
How about pictures of dogs? How did those work? Pictures of dogs. Your dog.
I haven't tested that one.
Yeah.
Is it a full? Is there a lady involved and a full body shot?
What kind of dog?
There you go.
I don't know. I have a mini golden doodle.
Well, Noelle, you've got to test it and then come back and report back on the results because we've been conducting our own experiments over here. So you got to test it for us.
Yeah, I can only test one a day. It's a work in progress.
Okay, so I want to wrap up because I want to give everybody a chance to give their final thoughts and throw out anything that you want anybody who might be watching or listening now or later to know or hear. Goose, let's start with you. Where can everybody find you? Any parting thoughts? Anything you want to pitch?
LinkedIn, just follow me on LinkedIn. I appreciate good engagement. Love learning about new content. I've really connected with a lot of construction people as of late. So I appreciate y'all letting me join in. And in terms of your content, just be you. I mean, sometimes it's fun to not even post anything about what you do. I like to keep it nice and fresh and not post boring technical finance stuff. So if you're tired of technical finance, follow me. If you want technical finance, do not follow me.
All right, Josh.
Man, I don't really have anything. I mean, people can follow me if they want, but I like to talk to people more than that. I think it's more fun to just have like a DM conversation because then people they don't get feisty with you, right? And then you actually get to like have a real conversation and nobody butts in having their stupid opinion for no reason.
Okay. All right, Noelle.
Sometimes arguing with facts.
Yes.
Well, personally, I think since I've gotten really active on LinkedIn since July when I started Contract Risk Academy, I think everybody's been really nice. I mean, I haven't run into people trolling my posts or anything like that. Maybe I'm not being controversial enough. I don't know, but if you want to follow me, great. I'm having a ball just following everyone else and
have a ball with McCall.
Yeah, there you go.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
All right, Bryant, you're up.
What rhymes with Solomon?
No. Oh man.
No, I don't have anything. You guys were nice enough to even invite me onto the stage, so I absolutely enjoy the witty banter between all of this group, and just thankful to be a fly on the wall.
Well, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thank you, Brian and
Noel,
Noel, for being brave enough to join us on stage. Last month we had Jesse, I think was our only person. No, wait, somebody else.
Jonathan.
Oh,
Jonathan.
Yeah,
It was Jonathan. Jonathan was on for most of the time. Jesse was in the Dallas airport.
In and out. He was in the airport. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But this is our first 5 person on the screen at the same time. So we're making strides, guys. So I'm Megan Shapiro. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Construction Risk Strategist. I'm posting twice a day, every day for the month of April. Just unfollow me if you have to. I understand. But we will be back. Okay. We will be back here for the Neighborhood Coffee Shop the second Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. the boys' time. And the coffee shop is always open for everybody to join us on stage. Bryant and Noel showed you that it's not that scary. I think we're not that bad, right, guys?
Nah, not at all.
All right, then I guess we will see everybody next time.
See y'all.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take care.